The interaction between the environment and peoples throughout the world affects the quality of life on this planet. As citizens of our community, we can participate in decisions impacting our city, state, and nation. In this series, we explore the effects of our influence on the Earth's ecosystems, as well as alternatives and solutions. This is Econews with your host, Nancy Pearlman.
Regardless of one's religious beliefs, sacred teachings can guide each of us to use our natural resources more carefully, to take care of our health, and to live in peace with our fellow human beings and other creatures on this planet. Hello, I'm Nancy Pearlman. On this edition of Econews, we feature the first part of the film, A Sacred Duty, Applying Jewish Values to Help Heal the World, written, photographed, and directed by Lionel Friedberg for the group Jewish Vegetarians of North America. The compelling scenes filmed all over the world reinforce the need to reduce our impact on the Earth.
We have taken our first tenuous steps to the stars. We've been bold and inventive. But in our haste to pursue our intellectual callings, we have sometimes neglected that which is most precious, our own home, this island Earth.
I call heaven and earth today to bear witness against you. I have placed before you life and death, blessing and curse, and you shall choose life, so that you may live, you and your offspring. Deuteronomy 30, verse 19.
In the Torah, God says to the people through Moses, I place before you this day life and death. Choose life that you may live. Now, the 20th century gave us two symbols that absolutely illustrate that choice. The life choice is seeing our planet, the Earth, from outer space. You could see one globe with no national boundaries. You just see swirling white clouds on a blue marble. One blue planet. And that's the life choice, seeing our planet as one Earth. The death choice is the mushroom cloud. But between that blue planet and the mushroom cloud is the choice we have to make today. And both affect the entire planet. When Chernobyl melted down, that radiation went around the globe. What we do in one part of the world affects all of us. Everything that you do affects everything else that you do. And I believe that Judaism teaches us this. The commandments are like the operation manual for spaceship Earth. That God said, this is how you operate this planet. And we need to take that operation manual out and read those directions a little more carefully, because in some places we have not been doing it properly. So now we have dirty water, we have dirty air, we have cancer from additives in our foods. If you read that operation manual, which is the Torah, God says, be fruitful and multiply and take care of the earth. We've been fruitful and we've multiplied, but we are not taking care of the earth properly.
The teachings of Judaism were enshrined over 30 centuries ago after Moses received the law at Mount Sinai during the Exodus from Egypt.
The Lord will confirm you for himself as a holy people, as he swore unto you. If you observe the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways, then all the peoples of the earth will see that the name of the Lord is proclaimed over you, and they will revere you. Deuteronomy 28, verses 9 and 10.
Ever since the Torah was handed down to them, the Jewish people have been guided by sacred words, words that nourish an enduring faith, one that has survived intact despite unimaginable odds throughout history. Judaism teaches reverence for God, respect for life, the maintenance of personal health, and a code of conduct based on compassion and justice. It also provides specific directions on how to be responsible custodians of the world in which we live. Profound words come not only from the Torah, but from the Talmud and its many commentaries. Other important passages are found in the writings of great sages whose works span the centuries.
And the Lord God took the man and placed him in the Garden of Eden, to work it and to guard it. Genesis 2, verse 15.
There's an ancient rabbinic teaching that says that when God created the world, he said to the first human being, to Adam, "Do not corrupt or destroy this world, for if you do, there's nobody after you to set it aright." And this ancient teaching has unfortunately become all too relevant today, as the earth is threatened, as perhaps never before, by global warming, by widening water shortages, by rapid species extinction, many other environmental threats.
A time for healing is upon us. A litany of ailments threatens the very survival of humans, animals, vegetation, and marine ecosystems all over the earth. Already, over 100 plant and animal species become extinct every single day. If projections are accurate, climate change alone will completely rewrite the story of life on our imperiled planet. In addition to heeding scientific evidence, many people now turn to ancient texts, to hallowed words that have sustained us for millennia. Therein lie guidelines for dealing with a world on a collision course with disaster. The teachings of Judaism are among the most powerful tools at our disposal.
The entirety of Torah is described by the rabbis as a blueprint for creation. Creation is another name for environment. In fact, really the preferred name in many ways. Environment makes it sound as if it's something other and outside, and we are somehow not a part of it, when in fact we are one species among millions, and we need to cultivate that humility. In fact, much of the Torah's teachings about the environment suggest precisely that. It's about a humble role relative to nature because we are all in it together and because we are all subsidiary to the divine.
Our quest to understand some of the problems that afflict our planet begins here, in one of the world's smallest countries. Israel is a mere sliver of land sandwiched between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River. In area, it's about the same size as the state of New Jersey. Small though it may be, this is the Holy Land. Sacred not only to Jews, but to millions of the earth's inhabitants. This little piece of geography is our springboard to a greater understanding of the world at large. In many ways, Israel is a microcosm of the earth itself.
One of the remarkable things about the land of Israel is that on the entire planet there are only a small number of different types of ecosystems, and all but a couple of them exist within a few hundred miles, a few hundred kilometers, in that very special, precious, sacred land. The Dead Sea, as people know, is the lowest point on the planet. There's also the lushness of the Galilee, the beaches of the Mediterranean coast of the Sharon, the vast Negev desert, and most of the kinds of natural surroundings that exist on the whole planet are there right practically next to each other within a very small space. And I don't think that's accidental. I think we are intended to see the whole world when we look at the holy, precious, tiny, fragile, sacred land of Israel.
But this sacred land is now in peril. And it's not only from terrorism and the threat of war. As with so many countries, Israel's population has burgeoned dramatically.
If 1950 there were 1 million people here, in 1960 there were already 2 million people in Israel. 1973 million, you do the math up to the 6.8 million today. With that kind of population growth and the density, we have to think differently, more creatively and much more efficiently in the way we plan if we want to leave some of that landscape to our children, the same landscape that inspired prophets and pilgrims for so long and for so many millennia.
This ancient landscape now bears the mark of the 21st century. In some places, the refuse of an industrialized, throwaway society litters hills and valleys where history and the Bible were written. Some of the most glaring examples of environmental pollution and mismanagement lie not in sand and stone, but in liquid form. This is a land where rain is sparse and water resources few. Conservation of this precious resource is crucial. The Yarkon River flows through the heart of Israel's biggest city, Tel Aviv. North of the city, the Yarkon is so polluted that merely to swim in its toxic slime could be life-threatening. Of the 16 rivers that flow from Israel into the Mediterranean, not one is safe enough in which to swim, let alone to provide drinking water. The Dead Sea, a major tourist attraction and the lowest spot on Earth. Its healing properties are legendary. Rich in salt, magnesium and calcium, it is a catchment area for the waters of the Galilee, or Lake Kinneret, and of the River Jordan. But this famous body of water in the midst of the desert is slowly disappearing. The Dead Sea is literally dying.
The level of the Dead Sea is decreasing at the rate of 1 meter per year, more or less, 90 centimeters to be exact. The consequences are that the water becomes more and more removed or far away from where people can approach the sea, the beaches, the hotels, the roads, the habitats, the nature reserves. All of these are located at a place which becomes more and more removed from the water itself.
40 years ago, 50 years ago, the Jordan River brought about 1.5 billion cubic meters of water every year into the Dead Sea. Today, it brings only 100 million of water, and most of it is sewage.
Why is the Jordan River a trickle? Because the sources of the Jordan River and the Jordan River flows through Lebanon, Syria, Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinian Authority. There is no agreement between those 5 entities on how much water should be taken out, how much water can't be taken out, in terms of restrictions on what can go into it. There needs to be coordination and cooperation.
Multinational cooperation in this volatile region has been slow in coming. But there is one prime example of it. The Arava Institute of Environmental Studies is located deep in the Arava Desert of southern Israel.
The Arava Institute for Environmental Studies was founded in the fall of 1996 on Kibbutz Keturah. Its goal was and is to create the premier learning and research center in the Middle East, where students, Arabs and Jews, can come together to solve the challenges of the environment in cooperative ways.
We have to build the base for the cooperation, and that's what we are doing here. Students from Jordan, Israel, Egypt, Americans and Palestinians are studying together. When people are studying together, they know each other and they can work together. And if they will be the leadership of the environment groups in the Middle East, not only in Israel, in the whole Middle East, this can lead us to better connections with them, even to solve conflicts, and of course to help with the environmental issue.
The entire region is now confronted by the very real spectre of global warming. One environmental study indicates that average temperatures here could rise by 6 degrees Fahrenheit, while rainfall could decrease by up to 30%. And that rain may come in the form of fierce storms. A rising Mediterranean Sea could inundate the coastal plain, where 60% of the population lives. It's a frightening scenario, not only for Israel, but for all neighboring countries. Fuel refining, the generation of electricity, and 11,000 miles of busy roadways carrying over 2 million vehicles annually produce serious environmental problems. Without adequate safeguards to prevent toxins spewing into the atmosphere, the country now faces an air pollution crisis.
Some 17% of Israeli children have asthma. And if you look at the numbers, it's almost a geometric rise. So there was 5% in 1980, 10% in 1990, and there we are now at that kind of level. Israel has done pretty well because of our health system in creating a long quantity of life. Israeli men live to the age of 78. That's the second longest of any country in the world. However, what is the health situation? How many times do they have to overcome a bout with cancer? The fact that 1 in 7 women in Haifa have breast cancer is an astonishing statistic. And that's higher than the national average, and we know it's because of the ambient air quality there. Just in the Tel Aviv sector, from Ashdod to Tel Aviv, a recent epidemiological study run by the United States Environmental Protection Agency and our own Ministry of Environment states that 1,200 deaths occurred prematurely. Now, we're not talking about people who get up in the morning, go jogging, and they keel over. No, we don't have that kind of a dynamic. But we're talking about people who are chronically ill, people with heart disease, whose lives are shortened unnecessarily because they were forced to breathe air that made them sick.
Israel has become a nation of activists, vociferously taking a stance on a broad range of issues. As is often the case, activism begins mainly among young people. This is a meeting of Green Course Students for the Environment on the campus of the Kibbutzim College of Education in Tel Aviv.
I think Israel is one of the worst cases for children's asthma in the world. I have a baby and I live in Tel Aviv, and I'm aware that I may affect her life forever, but that's a problem we have to deal with. Okay, so I leave Tel Aviv and I go and live in the country, and then I use a car every day and get the situation only worse. So we have to choose what we do, and it's a big problem.
The environment has been neglected for years, and it was always, the security, the situation, and after that they said, well, there's a peace process, there's always excuse why not to deal with the environment.
Everybody here is so obsessed with the national security that everything is being thrown aside. For me, environment is very important because I think it's more than about us. More than about us Israelis, more than about us, the human species, it's about this planet.
It is indeed the planet itself that is now at stake. The same environmental problems that plague Israel now affect every country around the world. That is the stage upon which the greatest drama ever facing humanity is now being played out. Global warming respects no boundaries.
As indicated in almost daily reports about droughts, about floods, about severe storms, and many other effects, global warming is here, it's already having negative effects, and this is because of an increase of only a little more than 1 degree Fahrenheit in the last 100 years. So it's ominous that climate scientists are projecting an increase of temperature of anywhere from 3 to 11 degrees Fahrenheit in the next 100 years. Some scientists are even indicating that global warming could actually spiral out of control within a decade unless major changes are soon made. Military experts are warning about the national security impact of this, because when you have flooding, droughts, major storms, other effects, there's going to be far more refugees, many more hungry people, many more thirsty people, and this is going to increase the chances for instability, for violence, for terrorism, for war over scarce resources. We just can't continue with business as usual. We have to find what can we do and start acting right away to reduce global warming.
In a way, the Hurricane Katrina was a wake-up call of the potentials of environmental devastation and our ability to do what we can now, to say that we knew that there was change in our world, in our earth, in our resources, and that we acted boldly for our children and for future generations, that we passed climate change legislation, that we took bold initiatives for alternative energies, that our religious communities, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, all came together and shared our voices, that this is an issue for the religious communities of our world to join arm in arm and to make a difference in our world.
At Rabbi Warren Stone's synagogue in Kensington in the greater Washington, D.C. area, he and his congregation have brought the environmental message directly into the place of worship.
We redesigned our bima, our sacred space, to reflect a connection to nature. It's based on the image of a banyan tree, which is a beautiful tree that can grow for 1,000 years. We thought that was a fitting symbol in a day and age where we are cutting down forests, we are threatening natural resources, and we're seeing changes in climate. So from our own community, we're trying to become a model. In this Temple Emmanuel, we've done things like put solar panels on the roof of the synagogue to support our eternal light, Ner Tamid. But we use the bima as a way for teaching. If you look at our Torah, the Torah coverings have roots. And the idea every week when we have a bar, a bat mitzvah, and we have grandparents and parents handing a Torah to their children, that we want them to hold on to this Torah as its rootedness, the wisdom of dealing with the world and connecting on these values. And so the children carry the Torah and the roots reach out to others as well.
Just a few miles away, in Bethesda, Maryland, another congregation proudly calls itself Green. This is Temple Adat Shalom, under the guidance of Rabbi Fred Sherlander Dobb. But the vision and message from this pulpit goes far beyond local boundaries.
Leviticus teaches, don't stand by the blood of your neighbor, al tamod b'dam re'acha. Our neighbor today is every one of the 6.4 billion people, including those on low-lying South Sea islands about to be swamped by rising sea levels. We have a responsibility to them, a responsibility to our neighbors who are the non-human creations, the endangered species that are on the verge of being pushed out of their possible habitat by climate change. And our neighbors also include neighbors in time, future generations. We need to address climate change for the poorest among us, for the rest of creation, and perhaps above all for our own future.
Hopefully, this inspiring film has shown you how ancient teachings have profound relevance today. And for viewers who would like more information, please call or write. On behalf of our nonprofit organization, Educational Communications, I'm Nancy Perlman, wishing you a natural, unspoiled environment.